But I think, a lot of us, even as we were growing up, we had this sense of, hey, things aren't what they seem. There's a whole other layer underneath all this mundaneness that we, exhibit in the, the third dimension that
Intergalactic beings of multi-dimensional realities. Welcome to channeling.
Ready to go. And it's lovely to feel guides being here and ready to go. They know what's up.
Yeah, they sure do.
Yes, they do. They know what's up. And so, wow, it's really starting. And so I am feeling a channeling coming through right now. Everyone, my guest is Debbie Solaris. And there is one of the council who is nodding and saying, we are here. We are grateful to be here. We acknowledge Debbie and her work beyond even her mortal coil, as one would say. We are here with her. We have been assigned and attend to her and her galactic mission, as well as many, as well as the broad spectrum of missions that are being accomplished here upon this earth plane. We are here and we will love to speak to you, through you, and with Debbie surrounding this question surrounding councils and what the Federation does. And also, but we opened it now to Debbie to tell of her story and how she opened and her connection that has been growing between her and us, those of the council. So this is how we're opening.
Okay. Well, my story is probably a little unusual in that I had probably one of the most abrupt awakenings I've heard of, but basically I started off just in this ordinary kind of human life. I went to school, joined the military. I was actually in the U.S. Navy for 6 years, and I did get my bachelor's degree while I was in the Navy, and ended up working in public health and environmental health for a number of years, and was never that interested in the paranormal or ETs or UFOs. Just didn't ring a bell with me for a long time. My now husband got me introduced to this world mainly through his interest in ufology and the paranormal events, and it was something he followed for a number of years. And so through him, I got more exposed to it, which I think in a way helped expand my consciousness, to accept that, oh yeah, maybe these types of events are possibilities. But I was still pretty skeptical. I was like, well, yeah, maybe it's possible, but I don't know. So
Debbie, I wanted to just interject. I can relate in a way because, all my life growing up, I had a sense of that. There was something that was happening, but at the same time, my fear said, if I pay attention to that, I'm going to be a fear monger, or, it's like this kind of a thing. And so I was always like, oh, well, that's nice. You people who like crazy, talk about these crazy things and have, talk about conspiracy theories and everything else like that. And so I always related people talking to it with, quote unquote conspiracy theorists, or people who are always, talking about this. And so I kind of really steered myself clear of it until I really, really started opening into my Buddhism and other things. And I'm like, I don't have to address this in a fearful way.
Mm-hmm.
And, what if I open up, and who knows what, am I open to seeing something new? Am I open to seeing my galactic perspective? Because what really pushed me to open up and accept it was, I was like, there's a larger story here.
Yeah.
There's a larger story here. And I am being so drawn to figure it out. I feel like I'm this little tiny speck, but there's so much more, and I'm closing myself off to all that I am. And so I think that helped me open the door to really being open to like looking at,
Absolutely.
okay, what is this ET stuff?
Yeah,
What's
exactly. What
going
is
on?
this? But I think, a lot of us, even as we were growing up, we had this sense of, hey, things aren't what they seem. There's a whole other layer underneath all this mundaneness that we, exhibit in the third dimension that
Yeah.
is, the real, maybe this the real backdrop story of what's really going on here. Because I mean, when you come into Earth, it seems pretty chaotic. I mean, it's like it's crazy.
Oh,
So
yeah.
um, and I think I spent a lot of my life just feeling like I didn't fit in, just like a lot of star seeds or, light workers. A lot of us feel like, I don't think I'm from this place. It just doesn't make any sense.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
do say that Earth is the hardest spiritual school, so it seems like, we spend half a lifetime just trying to remember that, who we truly are as spiritual beings, and
Yeah.
that's kind of where I was, I just wasn't, I always kind of felt like there was more, but I just didn't know where to look. I looked at religion for quite a long time. I was raised Roman Catholic, but I
Hmm.
didn't find many answers there, so um, but yeah, I ended up having two extraterrestrial contact experiences, which I mean immediately took me from a state of, I guess, unawakenedness to being totally awake. So that's pretty much what happened to me. And both of these events happened in 2012, and if you were to ask me, even like, a month ago before this, happened, I mean, I would say a month ago in 2012, if something like this was ever going to happen to me, I would emphatically say no, because I just wasn't a believer, but
Yeah.
yeah, but I became a believer totally afterwards.
Yeah. Suddenly the doors burst wide open and you're like, oh,
Oh yeah,
isn't that amazing?
this is really different. And I don't know if you want me to go into the details of what happened. I don't want to spend a lot of our time
Yeah.
on
We
that.
don't need to necessarily go through it, but
Yeah.
as per se, I mean, what did you gain from those experiences? I mean, kind of the foundation of what you work from because of that.
Uh, well, obviously, it gave me kind of the explanation of everything I've always wondered about on planet Earth. Like, why is religion the way it is? Why is our governmental systems the way it is? Why is our societal systems the way they are? So when I had these interactions with these Arcturian beings that were on board the ship, they spent quite a bit of time, explaining to me, you know, the backdrop of why things are the way they are, and what my place in it was, because I always thought I was an insignificant, ordinary human, and I found out through them that, my true origins, that I wasn't really from Earth. I came from the Arcturus star system originally, and had actually chosen to be here to have this mission of trying to expand consciousness on the planet and help us to ascend to the fifth dimension, and maybe even beyond that. So and I think that's a lot of our missions. I think a lot of us have, on whatever level, maybe with you it's through channeling and light language and singing, and maybe with me it's just sharing information, but we're all trying to, raise the vibration and expand consciousness in our own way, so
Mhm.
I just feel honored to be a part of it. So whereas before I was always thinking, well, I really don't want to be here on planet Earth. I hate being here. This place sucks. Now I feel very, very honored to be here. I'm
Mm.
ecstatic to be here. I
Mm.
can't wait to see what's going to be in store for us in the very near future. So thank
Mm.
you for allowing me to share that.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. That brings so much warmth in my heart. Just this idea of us one moment we're, we aren't connected maybe to what our true mission is, what we're really doing here, what it's all about. And then just the next moment we can be. We can be fully connected. We can start delving in and saying, wow, I'm a part of this beautiful story. I'm a part of this beautiful thing that's playing out. And how can I, and that gratitude that you express, I think is such a beautiful sign that we truly are connected
Yeah,
into what that
absolutely.
is, because we can feel ourselves. There's a value of what we're doing here, and there's a value of everything else that occurs,
Oh,
you know
absolutely. Yeah.
and as we move and as we develop and as we walk through kind of our story, there might be places along the line that challenge that, but then
Hmm.
we can pull ourselves back into it and say, this is the story. And maybe I didn't think this was going to be a part of it, but how can I bring myself back to the center in love? How can I see what this opportunity is for me? For me, when I think a part of my story is really it's one step after the other. It's I'm not seeing it in some ways. I'm feeling it. I'm getting a gist of it, but sometimes I don't see it. And it's like this huge leap of faith all the time for me is like, just step forward, take that one more step forward, and more will open up for me. And then there's others like the door opens, it's just like, oh, this is it. This is where I'm at. I know where things are going. And I think a part of me wants to say, it's going to show up different for everyone,
Hmm.
because of our particular missions,
Hmm.
and just before you got on, I could feel your guides coming in. I could feel the council coming in. And there was this aha for me, which was amazing. And this is
Hmm.
what's so great about spending time around others who are on a mission
Yeah.
and in mission, is that I saw into myself, and there was this recognition of a part of my mission is being in front of people and actually going through the process of the alchemy
Hmm.
of the transitions of bringing everything into, not just like everything's only one thing, but bringing it back into this experience of unity, and like people being able to watch that, because it's been set out for me to do it in that way,
Yeah.
that I don't suddenly get to have every single answer, but I get to walk through this in faith. And as I do it, I feel that connection, that love, that heart, that warming. And it's like, ah, I knew I was meant to do that.
Yeah.
I knew I was meant to do that. And there's this immense gratitude as I feel myself walk more and more into wholeness, more and more into that experience of expansiveness. I feel like there's a kind of a message from now you say you're really connected through the Arcturian.
Hmm.
um, there's some kind of, I'm really connected to the Palladians for some reason.
Yeah.
There's some
Yeah.
really heavy Palladian connection for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
and and I've been experimenting trying to figure out my history, which has been, I've been like, uh, part of me can't piece it together, but a part of me is like, this is really fun exploring.
Yeah.
Um, and so I feel like, from your point of view in your mission, can you express your mission and how it plays out? Kind of, I'm feeling into a story, and I know today we could just talk about story, and I'm feeling into a story of what they've told you, how you get to work, how you get to play out, what your part of the story is. So I'd love to hear
Yeah. I
in
love
more
hearing
detail.
stories.
Yeah.
I think that's what I love about working with the Galactic Akashic Records is that it's basically a one stream of, multiple streams of stories, that
Hmm.
have had an impact on us as souls and on our soul journeys, So I feel like in a way I'm kind of a galactic storyteller, like I just tell stories about, things that have happened in, past or, alternate dimensions. But one of the biggest stories I think a lot of us are connecting with right now is our ultimate origin story. I think here on Earth, because a lot of us are, signed up to be in this, 3D matrix, construct that we're in. We feel very disconnected from our past lives or our alternate dimensional lives, and have forgotten, like you were mentioning, like you're trying to piece together, your own, soul journey, but a lot of us have forgotten, our past lives and what we did before and who we were before, and so a big part of, I think, my mission is to help remind us of our galactic origins, that we came from these beautiful civilizations that were outside of Earth in, the Milky Way and in Andromeda Galaxy and maybe even beyond that, and I love to share these stories because it's ultimately, I would say, a beautiful indication of how connected we all are, that many of us have had soul contracts with each other, that we've experienced a lot of these things over and over again, in, different realms, so ultimately, there's various themes that come through, when I've done galactic Akashic readings for clients and, just in general, that I've seen, throughout, the scope of our own personal and cosmic histories. And that theme is always kind of like the introduction of duality into unity consciousness. And so we started off with unity consciousness. So at one point we were all part of source. At one point we were all part of these oversoul groups. And then we decided to go through this journey of separation. So how separated can we get and still be connected with source, still be connected with our divine connection. And so we go through this journey of separation, and we become individual souls that are choosing to have a multitude of different experiences in as many different star systems and planets and locations as possible. But one of the biggest separation that I saw was the introduction of dark into light. So, and the story is beautifully depicted by the Lyra story, so a lot of people love Lyra because they associate it with cats, and I'm a cat lover too. So
there's something that comes really fondly into my heart when I
yeah,
even hear the word Lyra. And for me, though, there's a water connection in Lyra, and it's just like there's this beautiful, serene, I don't know, experience that I feel when I hear Lyra and when I get pulled into that space. But I want you to tell this story. I'm going to put you head center, so you're
okay.
just being
Okay,
focused.
I'll tell the story the best I can,
Yes.
because I believe Lyra deserves all the attention that it deserves, because it is an amazing star system, and it's actually the home of human consciousness. So
Wow.
our
Okay.
our story as humanoids actually started in Lyra. So just as a backdrop, Lyra is a constellation. It's located, I would say, kind of in the north quadrant of the galaxy, very close to Aquila, Cygnus. It's actually located fairly close to Galactic Center, which is between the constellations of Scorpio and Sagittarius. So just so folks can get kind of I would say, a visual picture of this little constellation. And it was very, very small constellation. It only had 13 stars. It looks like a little kite if you were to look at it in the night sky. Its biggest star is the Vega star, which is also known as Alpha Lyrae, which is actually considered to be the fifth brightest star in our night sky. So, and it was once our North Star. For Earth's North Star was once Vega. So, the galactic beings that were considered to be the co-creators, some people call them the Elohim or the Elohim. some people call them the co-creators, the founder races, decided to create physical life in the Lyra constellation because it had very inhabitable planets. It was just, the conditions in this little constellation was ideal for life, for physical life. And so they created a number of planets that were beautiful paradise planets. And there were cat beings and avian beings that were part of the co-creator group that were constantly hybridizing themselves into physical forms of themselves. And then eventually there was 2 human races that were created. The first human race that was created was the blue vegan race that lived in the planets that revolved around Vega. And they were the representations of Mother God consciousness. And so this particular race is the root race of all the darker skinned humanoids that we see throughout the galaxy. So they didn't start off having brown skin. They originally had blue skin, if you were to ask, what these beings looked like, I would say they looked kind of like a mix between the Avatar beings on the Avatar movies and perhaps, the Indian Hindu gods, that we all know and love and relate to, so these were amazing race of beings, and they were pretty much more inwardly focused, more spiritual. They were more, what can I say? They were very focused on healing. So these were amazing beings. The white Lyran race was more so this was where the Caucasian genetics come from. These beings were more the representation of Father God consciousness. So these beings were beings that were more outwardly focused. So they were a little bit more action or more work oriented beings. So a lot of them were farmers and did, physical type of work. So they had beautiful paradise, civilizations for thousands and thousands of years. So a lot of people, I think, in our community think that, Lyra was created and then it got destroyed. I mean, these were communities that lasted for thousands of years. And when you were talking about the water element, there is one planet that was very watery. And it's called Bila. So you might want to explore your connection to Bila because
that's
they had
exciting.
very watery planets. And Bila is one of my favorite little planets in the Lyra system because it was just a cute planet. It was just cute. I don't know.
There's something that comes through vision to me a lot, and and I, when I'm going on a journey and I come to it, and it's almost like there's this temple, and it's, overlooking the sea. And I'll come up from the sea often into the temple, and my last experience was coming up to the temple, and it felt like it was very much a temple. There was a lot of feminine spirit there.
Yeah, energy.
Just a huge amount of feminine spirit there, and me with myself as the white dragon and all these other things. But it was just I keep on continually kind of being brought back into kind of the essence of that, almost like this is a really foundational core kind of foundational thing about my essence. And
or maybe a foundational lifetime for you, maybe that was, and it could have been maybe one of your first incarnations as a physical being. So a lot of people think that, I'm just this random soul, I'm having all these incarnations, but actually we choose to have our experiences and we choose our paths, so there's a lot of intentionality in reincarnation that I think has pretty much been lost to us here on Earth. But I don't believe that we just kind of randomly have lives and we never learn anything. I do believe that we choose to have certain experiences, and sometimes we choose very difficult lifetimes, with a lot of heavy lessons. But and that's very intentional because one of our goals as souls, as individual souls, is to have as many varied experiences as possible while still staying true to our soul essence, like you were mentioning. So it's beautiful that you are starting to remember some of that core lifetime of yours, that whether it was in Bila or someplace else, I don't know, but I think a lot of us are starting to remember our stories, because you're mentioning stories, and there's the cosmic story, so there's the bigger story, and then there's our own soul story, so, and how does that fit into the cosmic story? And there's a lot of correlations between that. So
I think connecting the two is a big part of this, since you talk about feeling like your meaning, feeling connected. I wanted to bring up something that was running through my head. You started talking about all of these galactic wars, because what we've experienced here on Earth, we experience, in the broader perspective in some way or other, it's all connected, these kind of different patterns and these different stories. But I think something that's being told me now is that really being a key person on Earth, having these human bodies, something that we aren't really taught is that we are here and we can help resolve some of this dissonance that has continued to play out, because we are here in this material form, in the densest form. And if we can bring in that experience of oneness, if we can bring in that that feeling of camaraderie back into this experience, that it not only assists us here on Earth, but it has an effect just astronomically, I think, through the world. And I think our dedication to this, and the many souls, or the aspects of the souls that are dedicated to this, show how important it is, and like the opportunity that we have here. So, I just did a live today on YouTube, just saying, if even for one moment we can lay down the story of our battles, of, having to be right and wrong and, prove something, even for 1 minute, sit there and just be with it, and recognize and honor that there is this innate feeling of separation that we get to be with, but also in a way we get to integrate it or overcome. Some people can, have different terms of it, but when we overcome it, it's simply us honoring our multi-dimensional nature and really feeling into our oneness, even though, there's the story that wants to keep on being told, these polarities of people being against one another, and, I can only survive if you die, or, this or that. And we get to see through those paradigms together. I think for some reason that has become really strong. That point has become really strong for me, to point out the opportunity we have here in story. And in that way, the story doesn't have to run our life. The story is information, and we get to rewrite the story. We get to rewrite our story and rewrite it with a new understanding. And so I think that's what's so wonderful, is that, like when you connected with the Akash, you see there's so many different possibilities of where we can go as people, as humans. And what's the difference in where we go, right?
Yeah.
It's our personal choice, our personal acknowledgement, and our personal investment. What do we really want to invest in right now? What do we want to put our attention on right now?
Yeah, I would say that I'm glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of people mistakenly think that the Akashic Records are just about past lives. And it really, that's part of it, but it's actually more of a 360-degree view of our soul's journeys, individually and collectively. So I think a lot of what people don't realize is, a lot of times when you go into the Akashic Records, you not only see the past, but you can also see future probabilities. And there's a multitude of timelines and choices that we can make that will ultimately, I would say, shape our destinies, so to speak. And and it's not like we're predestined to a certain outcome. I think that's another mistake that a lot of people seem to believe here on Earth. But we're all free will beings, so we can change our stories just by making a choice. You know, it might be a different choice than maybe what you've made in the past, or what even, you know, what you might have made even, you know, a few months ago or even years ago, you know. So so every choice that we make changes the outcome of the probability of our futures. And so so we're all kind of making these choices, and that's why a lot of times when I go into the records, I might see timelines kind of merging into each other, or shifting, or even collapsing onto each other, because you know, people are making different choices, and it ultimately affects us individually, but also collectively. So that's one of the beauty of doing galactic Akashic readings, is that you can see people change their timelines, you know, just from having an understanding of, oh, if I continue the way I have been going, this is going to be my likeliest outcome. Do I really want this outcome, or can I change it? You know, and I do believe that we can do this collectively too, you know, just in the sense of, hey, do we really want death and destruction and an apocalypse for our, you know, ultimate destiny? Or do we want to create this new earth that's going to be paradise, this paradise planet, you know? And we definitely have that capability. I've seen it, you know, so
Yeah.
I'm
I love
excited.
you bringing that up, and I was just wondering if there's an example that you could show about that. You don't need to name a specific name, but I mean, just something where you saw, or you know, you were with someone and they saw that, and actually you or they felt a shift in that, and that occur.
Well, when I was on board the Arcturian starship in 2012, they actually showed me possibilities for Earth future. And I was amazed at what I saw. I was just like, wow, this is so different than what we have now. But just to give you a description, what they showed me was much smaller communities, people more. So the big cities kind of went away, and we were living more in unity with the environment. So we lived in habitats that were integrated into the environment, but you know, they were beautiful, but unless you came upon it, you wouldn't even know it was a house, or you know, or an abode of any kind. And a lot of us had access to free energy devices, so we had renewable energy that was free to everybody. So no longer, you know, the big power conglomerates that we're dealing with right now. And the other thing I saw was that a lot of people were growing their own food. And I think we kind of merged away from eating other beings, you know, so we weren't doing that anymore. So I did see the possibilities of us, you know, shifting our DNA to where, you know, we can process, you know, plant-based foods, you know, much easier. And even, you know, beyond that. But the other thing I saw that really amazed me was that transportation as we know it completely changed, where there was no more airlines, there was no more trains or buses or even cars. People were able to teleport themselves into other locations. It wasn't like a thing anymore. Like, oh, I got to go through TSA at the airport. You know, I mean, nobody likes that, right? So, or nobody likes having, you know, trying to rush to a connecting flight. You know, I know I have a thing about airports, but it's kind of like the 7 levels of Hades to me.
Yeah.
But,
The
but
airport helps us know
CIA,
what torture is.
yeah, Denver Airport is probably one of the worst. But yeah, so there was no longer any need for that, because we could just energetically transport ourselves to anywhere on the planet, and we were all telepathically communicating with each other. So there was no lying, there was no hiding anything, there was no secrets, because people were instantly connected with each other. So we all knew what each other were thinking, and if you have negative thoughts, if you're not in the love consciousness, that's going to infect everybody. So, people need to be in love consciousness in order to be able to connect telepathically. And,
Yeah.
so that was the reality I was seeing, the Arcturians were showing me that was a possibility. And I started crying because it was so beautiful. And
Yeah.
I asked them, is this going to really happen for Earth? And they said, well, it's up to you. It's up to you and the other humans on planet Earth if you want this reality. And
Yeah.
believe me, I would love to see that reality happen and there was no money. I mean, money was not a thing anymore. There might have been like a trade system of some sort, but it was no longer like money and taxes. And, it was like, everybody shared with each other, and it was just beautiful. And so that's, a glimpse of one possibility that, I would like to see happen, as opposed to death and destruction and World War III and,
Yeah.
the reality that maybe the dark cabal wants to create for us. But
Yeah.
we're just not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
We're
I
too
think
smart.
there's enough of us awake now. It's just like, no, that's not there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're going in a different direction.
I don't consent to that reality.
Yeah.
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 No, I do not consent. Yeah.
I mean, that no longer serves us in any way.
Yeah.
We have learned enough what we needed to learn. We experienced what we got to experience. That's the way I look at it. It's like, oh, we're here to experience, and we're done experiencing that. We don't need it anymore. We've had our education. and
yeah,
now
we got the memo on the duality consciousness.
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
In there, got the t-shirt, ready to move on.
Rode the rides.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Your vision, that vision that you just expressed, it hit my heart, and I almost started crying as well, because I have a huge connection with this planet, with Earth, and just treating her with respect. And even the idea, even though we live in a society where we own land and different things, part of me just laughs at the idea that we could own her in any way, shape, or
Yeah, I know.
form.
It's so silly.
She's this living life, and we can be stewards.
Mm-hmm.
We can be stewards. And I think those who look at it in that way, I have the most respect for people just saying, oh, I'm a steward of this space. And I'll be conscious and aware of her, of the Earth, of the mother, and do my best to whatever is produced here for it to be, done so in love, in whatever way is best. But those are some of my little thoughts on that.
Yeah.
I love that vision.
I love
that. And I think there's a tool I use called In My World, and it's really along those lines of inviting in a deep quality that we really want to be experienced in the world, whether it's compassion, whether it's honoring Mother Earth, whatever it is, and bringing it into our body and our system and just experiencing it there, and then inviting our vision to see in the moment how that can show up.
Mm-hmm.
And we can all be experiencing the same thing, or attending the same event and be experiencing something completely different.
That's very true. Very, very true.
And as we do that, we start inviting in action that's more and more in alignment with those qualities that we're desiring to really bring into the world. So that's one thing. I am feeling into a switch now as we talk about this new Earth. I see the possibility of councils showing up more and more in the future of the world and the Earth. And I know now, as we look at the political scene, it's a little bit crazy. And that we see really the polarities playing out in extreme, this fight that's happening. And we can look at it and say, wow, this is, we can see that we still have a ways to go in clearing up this polarity from what's happening.
Sure. Yeah.
But at the same time, we can also prepare ourselves by really knowing what this idea of council is, of councils, of how we can govern through the people with the people, you know, in real connection with each other, looking into each other's eyes and seeing what's really happening. And I thought I wanted to bring back, you talked about this feeling of being able to, we communicate telepathically. And I think one big reason why it's hard to do so now is we are caught up in stories of saying, oh, I can't have that feeling. I can't do that because that would mean, you know,
I
that
give up myself, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
that would mean this. So I can't show this feeling in front of people because that would mean that I betrayed them or something like that. But as we become more familiar with our mechanisms and that emotions happen, and the more we're just able to be with them and walk through kind of the transitions out of what might be considered the polarity or the negative into a more connected vision, we'll allow ourselves to just let that process happen. We'll just be able to and willing to do so. And we won't have as much fear about expressing. We won't have so much fear about, because we know we're all on a walk, and we're just taking the next step to being able to understand our unity. We'll just keep on
Totally.
going, keep on walking.
Yeah. Yeah, I always kind of joke that whenever I try to communicate telepathically, only animals respond. Humans don't ever respond. So it's like I might get a message from a bird on a tree, or a squirrel, but I have yet to get a response back from another human. So I don't know. It's like, oh, I think we have a ways to go. Yeah.
I was going to say, when you do, let me know because I want to hear about it. There have been moments. I'm a twin, and so there's a
Yeah.
really strong connection. So I've had some moments and things, but in general, it's a challenging thing.
It is. I'm going to tell a little short story. I'm going to
Yeah.
make it really short, but after I had my extraterrestrial contact experiences, I had one in May 2012 and one in December. I noticed obviously that, my extrasensory perception, all my clairgits just went totally online. And it was hard to manage, in a 3D world. So I was working in downtown Colorado Springs one day, and I decided, oh, I need a break. I'm going to go grab a coffee at Starbucks. And I walked into that Starbucks. It was a very busy Starbucks. I think there was at least 50 people in there, and I could hear everybody's thoughts. It was like I was reading everybody's thoughts, and it was so overwhelming because a lot of people had very negative thoughts. A lot of it was, oh, I hate myself, or I hate my boss, or I hate my wife, or I don't know. It was just very negative. And I just felt barraged by all this negativity. And I was begging my guides, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. I don't want to hear this. And I ran out of the Starbucks. And as I was passing people down the street in downtown Colorado Springs, I live in Colorado. So I actually don't live in the Springs anymore. I live just up north of Denver. But as I was passing people, I was hearing their thoughts. And I couldn't believe how many people just overall thinks negatively, mostly about themselves. And I did see, occasionally run across somebody that was thinking about their vacation or thinking about the weekend. And I was like, okay, that's cool. It wasn't so bad. But I begged my guys, I said, I'm not ready for telepathic abilities yet. It's just this planet isn't ready. And so it was a lesson to me that we really have to be in love consciousness. We cannot,
Yeah.
deal with our baggage or bring our baggage into the 5D, So I think right now we're given this opportunity. So a lot of people ask, well, how come we haven't ascended yet? Well, because we still need to do the work. And that's a lot of clearing work, and, this planet has graciously given us the opportunity to do that, So I did see towards the latter part of the time when I was still doing personal Akashic readings that more and more of my clients in the latter years were more interested in clearing than they ever had been before. Before, everybody wanted to know where they were from. Everybody wanted to know, like, oh, what star system am I connected with? And so I've done, I would say, personal one-on-one readings for about 10 years. And I stopped doing them as of last year because it just got to be way overwhelming. I had 3,500 people on my waiting list. I couldn't manage that anymore. And
yeah, I was one of them.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. I understand.
But I really, I was really impressed at how, some of my latter clients were more interested in clearing old stuff, like they were not so much concerned about, oh, what star system am I from? What am I doing? They were more concerned about how can I clear myself so I can be the best version of myself and really align with my mission. And I think that's a beautiful expression of our soul evolution. When you get to that point of how can I be a better me so that I can be of better service to others. And I really think that's why, we are kind of hovering between these different dimensions right now, because we're giving the opportunity to really clear that for ourselves and for others, so I don't know if you do any kind of clearing work with the work that you do, but I imagine you probably do it more energetically. But I do think a lot of us are clearing, I would say lifetimes of stuck energy, old soul contracts, old patterns that are no longer serving us,
Yeah. And I have to say, especially at this time, I feel it. I feel kind of like I'm just open and it's happening like I'm communicating, all of these processes are occurring. And so, especially right now, this time of the year, this can be something that's really active in people. And a lot of people, you can feel it physically. If you're not doing well, you're going to have a tough time with it. So, that's one thing to just be aware of within you. It's like, you're going to feel it in your body. You're going to feel it in your system. You're going through a lot. And I think some people, they're like, why do I just feel so yucky? Or why can't I have the energy that I used to have? And one thing that I offer them is say, hey, you're processing through things that you do not know you are processing through. You don't understand all that you are doing. Even if you're laying on your bed and you have to lay on your bed for a day, like you don't know what that's doing for the overall picture of things sometimes.
Yeah, totally.
And just acknowledging that we are engaged in something that our mind does not fully understand is an important thing. And then offering faith to it, saying, I understand that I don't understand. And I have faith to know that what is happening is for the best of good and all. And I offer myself in this way to be of service, of myself and ease and love, never disregarding love for myself. That's important because we never can acknowledge and love all if we're not acknowledging the love for ourselves.
No, that's so true. So true.
We can't separate that from ourselves. So I think for me coming through right now, at this specific time, being able to show compassion to yourself if you're struggling is super important. And there are people who see and understand this and will hold your hand for a minute if you need your hand held for a minute, can offer you some comforting words or maybe provide a little bit larger insight. And that's what I think is so beautiful with you, Debbie, is, being able to see from a galactic viewpoint, being able to see from these different viewpoints, we offer a different perspective.
Yeah.
We offer a new view so that it does have meaning. It is bearable. We can become more dedicated in ourselves. And so I think that's the key thing. And you were asking, like, yeah, I do clearings. And a lot of these clearings happen just because I'm so dedicated. I'm so dedicated in my process. And I have a feeling I have a long process, but it was laid out to be that way.
Yeah, gotcha.
It was laid out to be a long process. And there's much beauty that I will experience along the way. And so so there are people that I meet and I'm just like instantly, I'm like, oh, I know that we connect. I know that my process can help inspire you. And there's other, they're working on totally different things, you know, and they get to do their own, they get to find what works for them. And we're all figuring it out for ourselves. I'm feeling that we get to move on though to this idea of counsel at the end of our meeting here today.
Okay.
And I'm just opening and listening to see what else, because I've been feeling into a sense of that's okay. Okay, awesome. Sometimes things start opening and you feel the victim is like, is that what I get to address right now? Not necessarily. It's just a kind of an acknowledgement. And I think my dragons are suddenly showing up, getting excited. Okay, hello, dragons. They want to join in, I guess, on this talk about counsel and how we work together. I'm feeling them come in really strong. They're really excited. But first of all, I kind of wanted to ask from your perspective, what's coming through you surrounding counsels and what you've experienced and what you've been told?
I saw councils a lot, with the work I did with the Akashic Records. And I do think here on Earth, we're going to go back to that model. It's a Laren Vegan template that was lost throughout, I would say the thousands of years that, we've been under, I would say, malevolent rule here on Earth. But so they went more to an authoritative, patriarchal model of dominance, on this planet. But it's actually a more facilitative model of we're all equal. Maybe there's a council of 12 or 13 individuals that maybe have a little more experience, maybe have some interesting perspectives that are going to be part of a council here, either here or in some other system that will help make decisions for the whole, but they get input from everybody, so it's not, they're just representing. And I think the American governmental model was supposed to be modeled from that, but then it got, way corrupted, throughout the years. But but originally, I do think the founding fathers, I do believe they were working. George Washington was working with the Pleiadians, and they probably received some downloads from the Pleiadians on how they can create a more democratic system. But obviously that didn't happen, so, because like everything else, it gets corrupted and, people get into power and they get drunk with power and just want to take over. But the whole concept of councils is not so much, oh, we have 13 people or 12 people or 10 people that are smarter and can decide everything for everyone else. They're getting input from the people that they're representing. So what I saw with galactic history in a lot of these systems is that a lot of these councils had very short terms. So it wasn't like somebody got elected like we do here on, United States, and they stay in the system for many, many years, so, we see, like certain speakers of the House, which I'm not going to, or individuals that have been in power for decades. And it's like, it was never meant to be like that. No one person is ever supposed to be in power. So they had very short terms because they were only supposed to serve for maybe a couple of years or for, a short period of time, so that they don't get drunk with power, so they don't get their egos into it, like, oh yeah, I'm so great, I'm making all these decisions, so so I do think we need to go back to that. And I do foresee that if we do follow the timeline I described, where we become more of a unified planet, that we are going to be following this template, which was actually a Lyran Vegan template. And a lot of people don't know this, but Vega was once our North Star. So the Earth axis was once
Mm.
aligned with the Vega system. And
Mm.
then after the fall of Lyra and Vega, it got aligned with Thuban, which is in the Draco system for thousands of years. And
Wow.
now it's aligned with Polaris, which is another star system. It's more of a neutral star system, I guess. So it's just giving us that space to kind of work out what we're having to work out. But eventually, the Earth axis is going to align again with Vega. Might not happen for a few thousand years, but it is eventually going to happen. And so that's going to be the representation of us returning back to that original human consciousness template, which was created in Lyra and Vega. So that's why these systems are so important, because our ultimate, I would say, highest level human potential was created in those systems. And ultimately, that's what we're going to return to. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I loved the history behind that because I mean, in my head, I don't want to say theory wise, but whatever, we're
Yeah.
talking about the earth and what
Yeah.
its alignment is on its axis and how it's rotating.
Yeah.
And it's like the correlation between us as individuals too is
Yeah.
astronomical, pun intended.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because it really is, because we're part of her body. We're a part of this system here.
Mm-hmm.
And, I feel almost like there's many people around me who they're having visions of community, of people working as a community more and being in more like a council situation. And it's almost as if it's like we can feel the pull, the tug of the new, of what will eventually will be realigning with, and we need to be able to act and enact that when that shift occurs, and perhaps we're getting some practices on how to do that. I mean, it may be just, a small group of
Mm-hmm.
people in the neighborhood where you come together and you're trying to take care of the neighborhood,
Yeah.
it can look in so many different ways, but the more we can do that in small situations, the more it can expand into the community and expand across the earth. That's my feeling about it, is us learning the dynamics of it and having kind of learning what those kind of fail-safe systems are of, okay, is someone getting drunk on power? Have they really assessed what they're trying, what are they trying to prove here, and really, really being able to be in community and learn how to initiate this idea of counsel.
I do think it's going to become a reality. I don't think we have any other choice if we want to continue to evolve, as
Yeah.
a species and as a civilization here on Earth. That we can't continue doing things the way we've done. It's just, it's falling apart as we speak.
Yeah.
So there is, some old models that are actually going to be new models here on Earth, but
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see how that all lines up. But yeah, I don't see. I mean, even I don't know. On some level, I sometimes even question if we are going to have an election at the end of this year. For those of us that are in the United
Yeah.
States, it just seems so like ridiculous. Just this.
Chaotic.
Yeah, it's very chaotic, very strange.
Yeah.
I just don't. I think the system is falling apart, and we're. And in a way, I think on some level, we've facilitated that because it's no longer working. It hasn't worked in a long time. Maybe it never worked. I don't know. But
Yeah. I
it's,
love that. What's coming through right now too, there's a couple things. Part of it is just I'm feeling a real love connection with the indigenous, and those that they've been really strong with me for the last several years, and a lot of healing, a lot of communion and stuff. But being like, I'm really literally being seen right now, we're reminded of them walking me through the village, or their tribe, and them showing how people are connected and they're working for the whole. And this idea of people sitting together, around the fire and the teepee and sharing their hearts, and people learning how to open in wisdom and learning how to see things in a broader perspective, and all of these beautiful things they're sharing with me. And I'm like, I see. Like, we are being encouraged to know how we can experience this kind of idea of a council and how it can affect our communities. And then also, and I can feel it too, because I've just become involved with someone who's trying to kind of plug this idea of community thinking tanks. She's trying to get started this huge pep rally, and I'm supposed to help provide kind of a baseline of a, real meditative, beautiful space. And I think there's a lot of challenges that come from trying to do so, but a lot of benefits that can occur when we simply step forward. And it's not about, pointing the finger to all that's wrong. It's about saying, we want to create a council. We want our communities to feel stable, and that wisdom can be heard, and that we can hear the voices of the people, and we can address what needs to be addressed. And I think as we do that, I think that heart of it, I think we can start kind of gaining more of a vision.
Yeah, totally.
And it's not more about, well, what can I gain from that? It's about, I want to be in a community that's like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to be that. So
yeah,
I want to, perfect.
Yeah.
I wanted to check in with, if someone wants to say, my dragon's just sitting here, okay, listening. And so when Debbie left, this council member that first channeled in is now becoming strong, and he wants to speak more concerning this. So this may be an extra long episode, because as I started to rewatch the beginning, I felt we hadn't answered some of these questions. So we are channeling because we are in Welcome to Channeling. And here's the message coming through here from the questions. Gwen, dear sister, we say hello. We are pleased that you have made space for us to speak concerning more about council, about what is required in order to have a council run in equanimity, love, and light. First, in council, the center is for the love of all, unity, oneness, Godhood presence recognized, not in that we gain and take it for ourselves, but that it is an experience of all and for all. Thus, when we see one who is in council, who starts separating themselves from this understanding, or continues to act in ways which one may say feeds their identity to be more important, or more of, we would say, more of that all is there to serve them, then we start to feel the imbalance, and the system then collapses. We then watch for this. For when the system collapses, of course, we have opportunity to readjust and reinform and bring back together our system. You may imagine this as if there is a long pole of light, and we as a council circle the light as a ring, us encircling the light. And as we move through this length of cord, you could say, or this line, we then, in our intent and purification, we are in the process of purifying what we come to interact with, or what is brought into our awareness, into the center of our ring. This is the concept that you may imagine or visualize is occurring when council comes together in session. Therefore, it is important and a good idea for there to be a circle around those that are being addressed or speaking. Thus, the separation is contained singularly in the idea of what is being presented is being held. It is not an us against anyone. And those who are watching or who are of the community may join in the middle of the circle or may watch from the outer rings and then be asked to join in and their voices to be heard. This is an option that we present to you. This is a way we have found to work within these means, and that if there is a time when an imbalance occurs and this ring collapses per se, that it also may immediately be then reconstructed in new resonance, clean and clear, for that which becomes not aligned. We will not say this word is not of the same resonance, must fall away and not be included. These are the thoughts that we offer for you and all who are here wanting to experience this sensation, this feeling of counsel and of community, and what it may feel like for it to be brought into a view that may be actualized. This is why when you were spoken to concerning this, you saw and visualized an American Indian tribe, one of the indigenous, and you saw into their space and how they opened and spoke to each other, and how as when you are writing and how as you are writing now in the situation that you are writing about, this fantasy book concerning dragons, there are fail-safes around those who are considered to be key components or points of power, which walk the stage and create large impact, that there are those who are assigned to them to watch and make sure that the balance is correct and that they are not placed in a space which then would destroy a great many. For they would be then acting in a way which is not in alignment of love and light, of seeing that we all are important, and seeing into the balance of what is appropriate in the moment and what is not. For in the moment, one may decide to create a destructive experience, but this all for the benefit of many. And we say this, and as we say this, many of you may feel horror. Yes, many of you may feel horror, for you have seen what people have done in the sake and signing off for God. This is not God. This is their egoic and internal unique battle being played out in front of others. And of course, we all did sign on, or so to speak, to the experience of all of us playing out these dynamic experiences. For us to be educated, to learn the dynamics of the system, to learn how love and light operate, to learn how we could increase in love and light, and in all dimensions. Of course, this is one perspective, this coming from a council member. Thus, those who hear this may recognize the voice. This is our alignment. This is how we see. And we see that there is a part that is integrated within the system, within the experience, that we get to honor, that there is choice, that there is dynamics, this push-pull, the polarity, there is magnetism, there are karmic quests, there are missions, all of these things interacting on many different planes, supporting each other due to their intent, due to their karmic walk, due to their process of coming into their experience of their own godliness and nature. This is one way we could say it. We use words that Gwen are used to so that she may understand in a way. But we say there are more ways that we may express this, which will be bringing more education to many. More education, which is now not presently ready for at this time. For if the ego is intensely ingrained, these words would be interpreted in ways that could be destructive. And so we are in consideration of what you are aware of and ready for at this time. We bring ourselves back to the knowledge and interaction with this Debbie Solaris and with Gwen. And Debbie being one that we initiated many, many times and have initiated many, many times into the service of assisting the opening of the human experience into its own godliness. And she of a nature of understanding and being able to see into the galactic missions, the differentiations between different species, different stories, and her natural interest in these things, naturally bringing her into a space where she could provide this for many others. She also has a beauty within her surrounding being able to bond emotion in a useful manner. So therefore, her intelligence and information thus is being used in a way that is not over-emotionalized. And thus, she is of great benefit for us in this way at this time. We are not discounting those who are emotionalized, for you serve in a different manner. But in order for this information to be spread across this earth at this time, we have found that she is a wonderful tool for this, and she has been more than willing to assimilate and support our investment in the well-being of all man and of this earth experience. We honor her in gratitude for her willingness to do so. As a council, we thank you for your service, and for even though as you walk so you say your blindness serves in a certain manner. So all of you here who say, I am blind, I do not understand, even you in your blindness, you may serve in many ways. And all of it will be opened as you dedicate yourself in your mission. And you say, yes, I believe. Just as Gwen spoke, I have faith, ultimate faith. And I allow this to open in ease. I allow my walk to be one that is seen deeply and heard and felt deeply. I allow myself to be dedicated in the things that I find true. I allow myself to believe in my light and to choose it and know that it is not separate from me and you. And as I choose it, then we are illuminated, all of us together. This is our desire for what we inspire within you, Gwen, and for many here who are listening. And we leave this with you, those of council of the Federation, of the Intergalactic Federation. We are here, we hear, and we are honored that we have spent this time with you. And now that we have connected in this manner, due to your action, Gwen, your action that connected you with Debbie. For as you did so, you initiated new possibility within your web. And this was also one of planning. So we bow, we say we see you, and we will, and this is the message we leave you concerning council as of today. And we are honored that you may share it with many. We also leave you with Aho, for we know this is deep in your heart as well. We recognize ourselves as brothers and sisters. Aho. And I was just wondering, Debbie, sometimes I start talking and I'm talking with my hands. You'll see it. I'm wondering if some kind of, as we're going to leave, some kind of channeling wants to move through you today, some kind of a message, because I feel like something gets to come through you and be shared as we leave this, and all of our listeners listen in today. Is there anything that you feel gets to be moved through you and shared?
I always call myself a galactic channeler. It's not one of my titles, but I think it should be, because I do, in a sense, do channeling, but I just channel, what I connect with the records. So I'll see if there's anything that comes through with that. And
Perfect.
okay, so what I'm getting is that, I think as a collective, we do need to eradicate this idea of separation. That, oh, I'm different from you, or, you're this, I'm that, you're black, I'm white, you're Democrat, I'm a Republican, whatever it is that separates us, and move away from that more into the sense of community that, we did exhibit in, our home star systems. The Pleiades, for instance, they were masters at creating community. As a matter of fact, the indigenous races that you were talking about originated from the Pleiades systems of Maya and Merope. So a lot of the indigenous races have claimed ancestry to the Pleiades in particular, because those were the star systems that they came from. And this is what they came to teach us, was this sense of community. And this is why this, more equilibrious council is going to become more and more important, because we are going to all make decisions about our future, not just a handful of people, but all of us. And this is going to enable us to move into that reality that we're all wanting to create, which is the reality of being part of the greater galactic family. So, and that's my mission too. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I have a sense of that too, a connection to that mission as well.
Yeah.
My guides, thank you for those words. Thank you for
Oh,
channeling
thank you.
that
No, thanks
through.
to the Akashic guides.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, everyone who's here in support of this. My guides, part of them nudge me, and they say a part of what I'm here doing is helping decrease that polarity, and this kind of us against them idea of kind of our connection of what is considered extraterrestrials, and really understanding that we are all one family.
Absolutely.
And there's beauty in the diversity, and we can learn so much from each other.
That's why we all became individual souls, is to have
Yeah.
that diversity and be able to have individualized experiences. So
Yeah. And we can enjoy it. We can take what works for us, because we're all in kind of, we're in different phases, we're in different planes, we're doing a little bit different things, but we can take, and our connection can help our lives be more vibrant and alive. And so I think that's a big part of what I'm here to do. And I thank you, Debbie, because I know you're another sister in action.
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm sure we've done this before in other realities, other star systems.
Yeah, we've had some fun, and I look forward to connect again sometime soon. And I encourage you in all you're doing.
Thank you.
If anyone has not, I think a lot of people will probably come here because of you. But if anyone has not looked up Debbie, look up her website and her YouTube channel. There's so much beauty that she shares. And go ahead and share what those are, Debbie, before we take off. And if there's any invitation on any programs that you're involved with, you want people to be involved with, go ahead and share with us.
Okay, I'll do it very quickly because I know we're running out of time. But if you want to check out some of my offerings as far as trainings and webinars, we do have a beautiful webinar coming up called Enhancing Starseed Relationships. So as a starseed, can we attract love relationships into our lives, healthy ones, so that's always a good thing. This is like a topic near and dear to my heart, because I was one of those starseeds that couldn't find love for a long time until I met my husband. And we've been together now 22 years. So,
Wow.
so I want to help other people find that grace and joy in their lives. So that's coming up on September 15th. So if you're interested, just, subscribe to my channel. Or my website. Speaking of channels, I do have a YouTube channel. We're going to start getting more active on it again. I lost my videographer, so I'm lining up some new materials. So we're going to have some stuff on there, and then I do have a Instagram and also Facebook, and I'm going to likely be starting an X account, but so I am on social media. I don't do TikTok, so it's not my thing, but if you're interested in seeing me in person, I will be at the Cosmic Awakening conference in Sedona in October. I'm also going to be at the All Shift Happily Now conference in Germany. So this is my first overseas.
Wow. Nice.
Overseas conference, also in October. And then if you really want to have fun, I'm going to be on what's called the Galactic Cruise. This is through Portal of Ascension. So yeah, they actually have a Galactic Origins cruise. And
I loved that. When I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so perfect.
I mean, it's like, can you ask for anything more aligned than that? But this beautiful cruise is going to leave Cape Canaveral on, I think, the 14th of December, and then I think we go on through the 21st or something like that. But and we're going to be visiting the Mexican Yucatan, Cozumel, Belize, and Honduras. And then there's many amazing, I think there's at least 20 speakers, maybe even more now, that are going to be speaking throughout the cruise. And so you get to, meet up with all your favorite speakers, a lot of really big names that are going to be on this cruise. So check it out. It's on, I think, we'll have to share the link or something.
Yeah, we'll share the link.
Yeah, but and if you decide you want to go, if you could please just mention my name, it helps me. So so that helps as well. So so there's some exciting things coming down the pike, and I would love to meet you in person. But if not, check out my offerings on social media and on my website.
Thank you so much, Debbie.
Yeah.
This has been so much fun, and I'm just so grateful to be able to speak to you, even though we're not face-to-face, we're face-to-face. And just one last thing, and I forgot to mention it until right now. Me and my twin, we have just all kinds of online offerings, and we're putting out a out of this world kind of reboot CD, and it's coming out in the next couple days. And so at the end of this, I'm just going to put one of those lovely little reboots for everyone to enjoy. If you really want to kind of have this inner journey experience connecting with maybe your extraterrestrial counterpart, whatever, there's a lot of fun experiences that are going to be on that CD. We're trying to make this not so scary, people. It doesn't have to be so scary. There's so much love to be experienced. There's so much wonder, so much awe. And we can do this together. As we open up in that way, we actually assist ourselves in letting go of this fear matrix. And we welcome in just the wholeness of what we are, our galactic heritage, all of us. It's just really fabulous. So I'm going to leave that at the end here for everyone, and I'll make sure to send it to you too, Debbie, so that you've got a copy and you can have fun with it.
I can't wait.
It's really, really fun. We've had some fun with it. In fact, one of them, I just have to say, one of them is an intergalactic disco that you get to go on, and it's like a cruise ship out in the galaxy, and you hop into different solar systems.
The party starship.
It is the party starship. So when that cruise came up, I'm like, dang, yep, that's it.
Yep. So hopefully we get more people signed up for the cruise, because it's going to be a blast. It's on the celebrity equinox, and it's just
there's something in my heart really calling for that right now. The funds haven't come up, but I'm just like, okay, universe, if this, if there's some possibility for me to show up there, I want to be on that cruise.
Yeah,
And
there's
so
gonna be some great people on there too.
yeah, I'm shouting it out to the
Yeah,
universe
no,
saying,
let's manifest, the funds for that cruise for you and
exactly.
whoever else wants to go, so,
Exactly. Let's
yeah,
all get on it and get the party started.
yeah, yeah.
Dancing in the Stars reboot. Welcome. This reboot is an extraordinary celebration as you dance among the stars. Begin by taking 3 deep breaths, envisioning yourself as the best dancer in the world. And tonight is an extra grand performance. For you have been invited to Dancing in the Stars, an intergalactic show that spreads dancing love across the vast life in the cosmos. You are feeling confident, decked out wearing your favorite dancing regalia. You approach the doors to the disco and they now open. Step forward and welcome the scene of a magnificent dance floor, illuminated and equipped with advanced technology. Transformative music plays, and the dance floor is being graced by the universe's top dancers, each one unique and vibrant. The DJ announces your presence and opens the viewing deck to reveal Mercury. You and all here are now dancing for Mercury. A few of the dancers nod and smile at you. You are being welcomed. Prominent dancer pulls you to the center of the dance floor, urging you to showcase your moves. Feel as your body opens and expands, radiating its unique light. Spreads through your toes, knees, stomach, heart, your whole body as you connect with this planet and you realize that you are not only dancing for Mercury, but with Mercury. The excitement of this new kind of dance builds and overflows and starts expanding even beyond the planet. announces a shift, and the dance floor transports. Pivot to dance in this new energy as you identify a new planet out the viewing deck. It's Mars. Connect with Mars and make up a new dance just for him. On Mars, feel the resonance and reciprocate your dance with joy. Embrace the friendship that is building. You are doing it. You are a galactic groover. Announces a shift, and the dance floor transports to Sirius. This cluster of planets unfolds its beauty, and it's time to create a new dance move. Feel into Sirius and unveil a unique dance move that excites everyone. Through the Galactic Council, inviting them to join in the cosmic dance. The DJ encourages you, and the dance floor expands, encompassing the entire universe. You dance for the cosmos. energetic tunnel that propels you back to Earth. The cheers and applause send you on your way and fade. Welcome back. Take 3 deep breaths as you integrate this new energy in your body. Move throughout your day, sharing and spreading this energy as you dance for the collective joy and celebration of life.
Click the link below to receive your very own free soul play meditation, reboot, or soul song.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Welcome to Channeling. Till the next episode, own your stage and play on.
Hot Muffin Media.